Hey everyone, hopefully you had a really good session online and you're coming into this fairly educated as to what we're going to be going over. But we're going to jump pretty much right into it today. So in our first session we had lots of introduction in our video. We're kind of going over the general concepts of extension versus compression throws and how all that works. Today we're going to give you some movement prep that you're going to go through to kind of get you activated and get you thinking about and feeling the right positions. And then number two, we are going to work on loading. That loading drill work that we give you should be incorporated into your extension phase of your catch play. Okay, so as you're backing up, you're going to do some of these drills as you're throwing. You're not going to throw and then do the drills afterwards, okay? So getting straight into our movement prep. You are going to need a little bit of equipment for this first one that we're going over, these toe taps. So what I'm going to be using here is a blue plyo pad. You might not or likely don't have one of these, but that's all right. Instead of one of these plyo pads, you can very simply use a couch pillow. Those work really well, or a couch cushion. A pillow from your bed, you might want to stack up a couple of those because they're a little bit thinner and more squishy. But really anything that'll create an unstable surface underneath your foot will be acceptable for this. Okay, so once again, it doesn't need to be one of these. So from there, what I'm gonna have you do, I'm just gonna put my stuff to the side for now, is stand up, find some open space, make sure there's nothing around you that you can fall over, trip on. Stand on that unstable surface, whatever you've got, okay? Now, first off, keep your shoes on. I want you to just try and find some stability on that leg. If you find that you can balance like this, then good to go. You're gonna use that unstable surface. But if right now you're really struggling to stay balanced and you're wobbling all over the place, I want you to get rid of that unstable surface and you're just going to do this from the floor. Now, if you're going to do this with your shoes on, that's going to make it a little bit easier. But if you really want to challenge yourself, take off that shoe and just do it in either socks or barefooted, okay? I'm gonna leave my my shoes on just because I'm in here. Now, if you are going to use that unstable surface, that pad or pillow, try it both ways. Try it with and without your shoe. If you can do it on an unstable surface without your shoe on, that's where you're going to get the most benefit out of it. But if you need to leave that shoe on, make sure you do. Now, the way this drill works, or this preparatory movement, you're going to place 100% of your weight on that foot. So I'm starting with my right foot right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of soften up my knee a little bit. I'm really thinking about squeezing the ground with my foot. You guys can probably see my ankle and foot really fighting to keep me stable. What's going on right now are all the little ligaments and muscles in and around my ankle and my calf are firing really hard to keep me upright, keep me from falling over. That's what that unstable surface is going to do for you, okay? It's gonna really challenge you. So after a little while, things are gonna start to burn. That's okay. That's us getting stronger. So balance on that foot, and then what you're going to do is you're just very gently going to tap forwards, to the side, and backwards. I'm not putting any weight into this foot. All of my weight is staying in my right foot right now. So we're going to do that 5 times consecutively if you can. Tap forwards, sideways, and backwards. So forward, sideways, back, that's only 1. So I've gone through 2 times now. I'm gonna go forwards, sideways, backwards. 2 more. Forwards, sideways, backwards. Last 1. Forwards, sideways, and back. Good. So my leg's burning, yours should be as well. Now I want you to switch sides and do the other leg, do the other foot. Find your stability, find your balance. Forwards, sideways, backwards. That's 1. I'm gonna do 5 on this side. 2. So make sure you're doing these nice and controlled. We're not trying to rush through these. If you need to, stop and reset, especially if you lose your balance. Cool. Just like I did there. Last 1. There we go. shake it out. So go ahead, challenge yourself with those, and then go ahead and pause this video. Come on back. Once you're ready, we'll take a look at the next movement. All right, so the next movement we're going to go over is a heel touch. So for this, I'm actually gonna have to flip my camera around. What you're going to need this time is an elevated surface, something that's going to put you up off the ground. So here I'm just going to be using my mounds, okay? We don't need anything that's too high, but if you need to, you can use a chair or a bench. Just make sure you're being safe and it's not gonna tip over as you're doing this. We don't wanna use anything too high either. Something like this is about 10 inches off the ground, is perfect. So if you can, stack up a couple pieces of wood in your garage or something that's going to lift you up. You can use a rock out in your garden, whatever's gonna work. You guys need to be a little creative when it comes to this stuff because you're not here in our facility. But from here, I'm going to stand up on my elevated surface on one foot. Okay, we wanna make sure our hips are nice and flat. So place your hands on your hips kind of like this, make sure that they're lined up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to squat down, kind of taking our butt back towards this wall behind me until my heel touches the ground and back up. When my heel touches the floor, I'm not putting any weight in that heel. 100% of my weight stays in this leg. I'm really fighting to balance once again. Okay, we're using that leg and stabilizing, okay? If you're doing this properly, you should really feel it up here, kind of like the top of your butt, your glute medius. You should feel your groin working hard, because right now we're really stabilizing our hip in addition to our ankle, okay, and our knee. So all those muscles in and around and supporting structures in and around our hip are gonna start lighting up as well. You should feel your leg working pretty hard, your quad up here. So I did, I think 2 or 3, let's call it 2. I won't cut any reps out, you shouldn't either. We're gonna do 10. So I got 8 more to go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. All right, I can feel that working hard. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do my other side. So I'm lucky I got another one right here. You would normally probably flip over and do the other side this way, but let's go ahead and do 10 more on the left side. So hands on the hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, if you lose your balance, reset, start over. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. All right, so by now those legs, you should feel them working pretty good. I can. We're gonna go on to our last drill. But if you need to, go ahead, pause this video. Come on back when you're ready. Let's take a look at our last one. Alrighty, so welcome back. Going into our last drill now. Just gotta quickly take a look at my sheet and remember what we've got. Right, so we're gonna do some skater jumps. Skater jumps, for those of you that play hockey, this should come fairly naturally, or if you're comfortable on skates. If you're not, that's okay. Just gotta make sure I've got some good space to do this. So I'm gonna start way over here. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna get really low into this kind of power skating position. So I'm using my arms with my lower body, okay? I'm loading into this hip. So once again, you should feel your legs working pretty hard as you do this, okay? I'm going to load up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the side and try and keep on going back and forth. If you lose your balance and you need to, put that foot back on the ground and start over. I want you to do 20 of these, so 10 each way. I've lost count completely, so I'm just gonna do a few more. All right, and there you have your movement prep. So if you need to, Pause this video, go ahead, do your 10 each side, 20 skater jumps total, and then let's get ready to throw. Whew! All right, so I don't get to hit pause on these videos like you do. I just keep on rolling, so I'm a little out of breath. Bear with me for a second, but we're now going to go through a little bit of drill work to help you guys work on this loading phase of your throwing delivery. So loading's pretty standard. It doesn't matter whether you're a pitcher, you're a catcher, you're an outfielder, softball, baseball. I think that point should be pretty clear by now. Throwing's throwing, and we load the same way no matter what. This actually applies to hitting as well, but story for another day. So our first drill here. This should happen, probably a couple steps back into your extension phase catch play. But what we're going to be doing is a rocker ISO drill. So a standard rocker drill, if you've ever done these, I'm gonna stay facing you guys for a second. In a rocker, you get your feet nice and wide, you get low to the ground. So I'm sitting my butt back this way like I'm sitting down into a chair. Get your feet wide, get low, and then you'd rock forwards, backwards, and throw the ball. But this being a rocker ISO drill, ISO means isometric. Isometric means that we're gonna have a nice long pause in this delivery. So what I'm going to do is, instead of just rocking forwards, backwards, and throwing, I'm going to rock forwards, backwards, and hold. This is my isometric, okay? So I want to quickly talk about the positioning for that ISO. When I rock backwards towards you, a couple things I want to make sure of. Number one, if I look down, I should be able to see my toes, okay? If I can't see my toes, my knee's going forwards. This means that I'm loaded into the top of my leg and I'm not really using the back of my leg, my butt, and my hamstring very well. Okay, you can also see that my heel starts to pop up off the ground. So we want to make sure that as we rock back and load up, my knee is staying in the middle of my foot. I should be able to see my toes, and my heel also stays on the floor. So as I do that, I'm also making sure that my butt is sitting backwards like I'm sitting into a chair. If you were to think about sitting into a chair, you wouldn't sit into a chair by doing this. You'd miss the chair, you'd sit right on the lip. If you're gonna sit into a chair, you're gonna sit backwards. So think butt back, sit down into that chair as you load. So the way this drill works, forwards, back, make sure you're loaded up well. You should feel that leg burning. We're gonna hold for 5 seconds. And then after 5, we push off and throw. Okay? So one more time. Get wide, get low, forwards, back, load up, 2, 3, 4, 5, and throw. Now, if you don't use your lower half well, you might actually have some pretty good difficulty with this drill. That's okay. Okay, we want these to be difficult. If they were easy, that means that you're already pretty well equipped to perform it. That's also okay. Okay, it doesn't mean you should not do it. Either that or you're just not doing it properly. So pay attention to your knee positioning relative to your foot. Make sure you can see those toes. Make sure that heel's staying on the ground. Mom and dad, if you're watching, your son or daughter, do this. Those are the things that you'd be looking for with this rocker. Make sure that butt is sitting back like you're sitting down into a chair. So go ahead, do your rocker ISO throws. I want you to make at least 15 of these if you're on a moderate or aggressive day. If you guys are on a recovery day or a light throwing day, you probably shouldn't be doing too much drill work today just because you had an aggressive day yesterday or the day before. But take a look at the drill. You can try it out. You don't need to throw a ball to try the things we're doing with our lower half. So if you need to, hit pause on this video and then come on back. We'll go over our second drill. We've got 3 planned today. All right, second drill. So hopefully you guys had some pretty good success with those rocker ISOs. You can feel that back leg working pretty hard. You might find that your legs are actually pretty gassed and tired tomorrow after today's throwing session, as they should be. Every time you throw, you should feel like those legs worked hard. That means you're developing some power and, you know, building them up. But our step back drill, it's a very, very simple one. All I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to start in, you know, a fairly athletic position, one I feel like I could, you know, move my feet out of and throw a ball. So I'm going to start like this. You know, for you pitchers, it's like you're set on the mound. But all you're going to do, very, very simple, I'm going to move up a little bit. All you're going to do is step back and throw the ball, okay? But your goal with that step back is to find some pretty good stability like that, really quickly in that back foot. You shouldn't have to step back and kind of wobble around and find your balance. It should be a step back and throw after a very brief pause on that back leg. So go ahead and give that a try. I'm going to demonstrate one more, just kind of doing it from the side. So we're starting like this. This isn't just for pitchers, okay? Once again, this is for all positions. We step back and throw. So I'll give you guys a full one from this angle. Hopefully I don't kick my bucket. And throw. All right, so pay attention to how hard you're throwing. You know, if you're super close to your partner, you don't want to be throwing this ball too hard. Also, if you're early in your throwing work, meaning you haven't made too many throws yet, we're not trying to throw the ball overly hard yet. But you can do this, you know, as you're backing up. If you're throwing outside, you can do this for a fairly good distance. Once again, you know, you should do this for about 10 to 15 throws and then move on to your next drill. Now, before you hit pause on this, we're gonna add in kind of one extra layer of difficulty. This one is for our pitchers out there, but you positional players, softball players that don't pitch with a leg lift, this is just as good for you as it is for the pitchers on the baseball side of things. We're going to add a leg lift into it. Now, it's obvious as to why we would get a pitcher to do this, but why would we ever get a positional player to lift their leg and throw the ball? Well, the answer to that question is quite simple. It's more challenging, and we want to challenge you with these drills. So, instead of just stepping back, gathering and throwing, what you're going to do is you're going to step back, lift the leg, and throw, okay? Adding that leg lift in there just kind of adds an extra layer of difficulty for the drill to make it more challenging for you to really try and, you know, develop that ability to load into that back leg. So go ahead, give the first version of this drill just the step back a try first, and if you feel like you're making some pretty good progress with that, then go ahead and try the step back to leg lift version. Hit pause. I want you guys to come back for your third and final drill before you finish up your throwing work. All right, and here we go with our last one. So our very last drill is a quick pick drill. So for those of you that, you know, are playing baseball and you have full, you know, leadoffs and stealing, this one should be pretty familiar. It's like we're picking off to first base. For those of you that are softball players and or, you know, you're playing baseball but you're just not at the level where you pick off yet, you know, you're gonna get to learn how to pick off a little bit here. But then secondly, you know, we're not doing this to work on our pickoff move. We're doing this to work on loading. Okay, remember that's the theme for today. So I'm actually going to be throwing this ball straight back behind me, although I'm facing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get set like I'm a pitcher on the mound, okay? Just relax the elbows, weight in that back foot, about 60%. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my feet, put my foot hard into the ground. Notice this position I'm in again. My butt's over my heel, my knee's over the middle of my foot. I need to, even more quickly than with a step back, find stability in that back leg, okay? So I'm popping my feet, I'm getting my foot hard into the ground, making sure I'm in a good position, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to throw, okay? If I'm throwing to a partner, then I need to make sure that I'm picking up a target as well. You might want to try this first into a net or at a wall so that you don't need to worry about hitting a target. After that, then maybe try and do that when you're throwing with a brother or sister or your parents, but let's give it a go. So just kind of come set, nice and relaxed, pop the feet, and throw. I'm hoping that in this video you guys can actually hear how hard my foot is hitting the ground. I'm really trying to stomp it into the floor. Okay, make sure that you feel that heel contact. That's why I'm doing it so hard. Okay, I want to make sure I feel my heel into the ground here. So just relax, come set one more time, pop, find some stability, drive and throw. All right, and there you have it. That's your quick pick drill. Start slow. Even though it's called a quick pick, start with a slow pick. Work on some footwork here. Make sure that you're putting yourself in good positions. And then once you're able to do that, start speeding it up a little bit, okay? For this one, you guys probably don't want to be throwing very far and very high, okay? You want to stay fairly close for this. So play around with the distance a little bit, but yeah, get a really good throw today. Make sure that you're not overdoing it. So with those quick picks, maybe another 10 to 15, and just really work on loading into that back leg, okay? If you're gonna go ahead and do some shuffle throws after that, take that feeling, take the sensations from each drill, carry it over into the next, carry it into your regular throws. The same things that you're working on in these drills, you're supposed to be working on every time you throw a ball as well. So that's my challenge to you guys. Take the sensations and the feelings you create in your drill work and carry it over into your regular throwing work. Let that carry over then in game once we actually get there. Fingers crossed. But before I let you guys go, I do have one last challenge for you. I want you guys to take a little bit of video, okay? Take some video of yourself throwing, take some video of yourself performing these drills, tag Play Ball Academy in it. We want to see you guys doing these, okay? We want to know who's working, who's not. And secondly, we want to make sure that if you guys are doing it, you're doing it properly. So us seeing you, in real time, in some video doing these drills is going to let us know, if we need to provide you any feedback in your next live session, okay? So tag us on Instagram at Play Ball Academy Canada, and we'll make sure that we're taking a look at your videos. We'll even give you guys shout outs on our story. But yeah, we want to see you guys do this stuff at home. So, provide us feedback. I look forward to working with you guys next time, and have fun with it. Take care of that arm. All right.